Nobody expected the quarterback situation to become the most talked-about subject in Cleveland again, but here we are. Just when fans thought the organization was finally ready to move forward and embrace the future, new reports point in a completely different direction. The pressure within the company is mounting, the fan base is divided, and with training camp approaching, a crucial decision could end up defining the entire season before the first week even begins. But first, click the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Let's go! Deshaun Watson's future in Cleveland just took another unexpected turn, and Browns fans are trying to process what this could actually mean for the franchise moving forward. According to NFL insider Jeremy Fowler, people close to Watson are now saying there is no ill will toward the Browns organization despite everything that has happened over the last few seasons. That alone is surprising considering how ugly things have become between the fan base and the quarterback. But what really changes the conversation is the idea that Watson could actually be open to staying in Cleveland beyond 2026 if this upcoming season somehow goes well. Think about where this team was just months ago. Most fans assumed the Watson era was completely finished. 2 Achilles injuries, inconsistent play, missed games, and the overwhelming frustration surrounding the trade package had pushed the relationship to the edge. The Browns gave up 3 first-round picks, believing they were getting the elite Houston version of Watson, the quarterback who threw for over 4,800 yards and 33 touchdowns back in 2020. Instead, Cleveland has spent years watching a player who has struggled to stay healthy and has never looked comfortable inside Kevin Stefanski's offense. Now suddenly, the messaging around the organization feels different. Jeremy Fowler's report isn't happening in a vacuum. Over the last several weeks, there has been a growing pattern of Browns voices publicly building up Watson again. Jimmy Haslam reportedly believes Watson still has a great chance to become quarterback 1. National insiders like Ian Rappaport and Daniel Jeremiah have hinted that Watson could open the season as the starter. Local reporters are beginning to lean that direction too. Even inside the building, there's growing discussion that Todd Monken's offense could potentially unlock something that Stefanski's system never did. That part is honestly one of the most fascinating details in this entire story. Fowler's report included comments from a source close to Watson claiming that the quarterback never truly fit the structure of Stefanski's offense. The Browns wanted quick reads, timing throws, and game management concepts. Watson at his peak in Houston thrived when he could extend plays, attack vertically, and operate in spread formations with more freedom. Cleveland tried forcing him into a rhythm-based structure that simply never matched his strengths. And now Todd Monken enters the picture. Monken's system is expected to feature more spread concepts, more RPOs, and more opportunities for the quarterback to create outside structure. On paper, that sounds far closer to the style Watson dominated with during his Texans years. The Browns clearly believe this gives them one last opportunity to salvage the investment. The problem is simple. That version of Watson existed 6 years ago. Since then, the injuries have piled up, the explosiveness has faded, and confidence from the fan base has completely collapsed. What makes this even more dramatic is the timing. OTAs are beginning, and the quarterback battle is about to dominate every conversation around the organization. Shedeur Sanders is waiting in the wings, and fans desperately want to see the rookie develop if the Browns aren't legitimate playoff contenders. But the signs are starting to point toward Watson getting the first opportunity again. That possibility is becoming harder to ignore. There's also a major split forming inside the Browns community about what the team should prioritize. One side believes if Watson gives Cleveland the best chance to win immediately, then he has to start, no matter how unpopular the decision is. The other side sees this season differently. If the Browns are not true contenders, then every snap given to Watson could feel like wasted development time that should belong to Shedeur Sanders. That tension is going to define the entire season before Week 1 even arrives. And maybe the most unbelievable part of all this is that extension conversations are somehow back on the table. Andrew Berry reportedly said there's no rule against extending Watson, which instantly reignited fears among fans that the Browns could double down once again if Watson shows even flashes of improvement this season. That possibility alone is enough to send shockwaves through the fan base, because nobody thought we would be revisiting this topic in 2026 after everything that has already happened. The Browns are walking into one of the strangest quarterback situations in the NFL. A former superstar trying to revive his career after years of injuries and disappointment, a rookie quarterback waiting for his opportunity, a new offensive system designed to change everything, and a fan base completely divided on what should happen next. If Watson wins the job and succeeds, Cleveland may try to convince everyone the gamble was worth it after all. But if this goes wrong again, the backlash could become impossible for the organization to contain. So now the question goes directly to Browns fans. If Deshaun Watson really does open the season as QB1 again, and the Browns start talking seriously about keeping him beyond 2026, what would your reaction honestly be? What's becoming impossible to ignore is that the Browns themselves may already know exactly where this quarterback competition is heading. All the messaging coming out lately feels coordinated. You've got insiders suddenly talking about Watson looking great physically, coaches publicly expressing confidence, and analysts around the league preparing fans for the possibility that he takes the field again in Week 1. That doesn't happen by accident. Organizations usually leak this kind of information when they're trying to soften the reaction before making a controversial decision. And honestly, from the Browns' perspective, you can understand why they're at least tempted to try one more time. They invested too much into Watson to simply walk away without exhausting every possible scenario. This franchise tied its future to him financially, emotionally, and strategically. If Todd Monken truly believes he can build an offense that resembles the environment Watson succeeded in during Houston, then internally, the Browns probably see this season as their final chance to prove the trade wasn't a complete disaster. The problem is that fans have heard versions of this story before. Every offseason there's optimism. Every offseason there are reports about Watson being healthier, more focused, more motivated, more comfortable. Then the games start, and reality hits. Either the injuries return, the inconsistency shows up, or the offense completely stalls out. That's why so many Browns fans are struggling to buy into this latest wave of confidence. The trust is gone until Watson proves something on the field consistently. What really raises the pressure on everyone involved is the presence of Shedeur Sanders. If this were just Watson competing against another veteran placeholder quarterback, fans might tolerate the experiment longer. But now there's a young quarterback sitting right there, someone the fan base already wants to see. Every bad Watson performance will immediately trigger calls for Sanders. Every loss will increase the noise. Every injury scare will explode into another controversy. The Browns are entering a season where the quarterback discussion could dominate every single week regardless of who starts. And there's another layer to this that people inside the league are already talking about. One NFL evaluator reportedly suggested this setup could actually help Monken more than hurt him. Why? Because expectations for Watson are now incredibly low. If Watson somehow rebounds even partially, Monken instantly looks like an offensive genius who succeeded where Stefanski failed. But if Watson struggles again, many around the league will simply blame the quarterback instead of the system. That creates a strange situation where Monken has very little downside risk personally, while the Browns organization carries all the pressure publicly. Still, The biggest issue remains health. Watson hasn't just struggled performance-wise in Cleveland. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. Two Achilles injuries after already dealing with shoulder problems create massive concerns about mobility, explosiveness, and durability. The version of Watson that terrified defenses in Houston relied heavily on movement, extending plays, escaping pressure, and creating off-schedule. If those physical traits are diminished permanently, then even a better offensive system may not matter enough. That's why this upcoming training camp could become one of the most important stretches of Andrew Berry's entire tenure. If Watson looks sharp physically, throws confidently, and controls Monken's offense effectively, the Browns may fully commit to him early. But if there's hesitation, rust, or signs that the athleticism still isn't there, the pressure to transition toward Sanders will become overwhelming before the season even settles in. There won't be much patience left from the fan base this time around, and maybe that's the biggest difference compared to previous years. Browns fans no longer want promises. They don't want projections about what Watson could become again. They've heard all of it already. What they want now are wins. If Watson starts, Cleveland has to compete for the playoffs immediately. Anything less will make the decision look like another massive miscalculation because every snap Watson takes is a snap. Sanders isn't getting to develop for the future. The reality is brutal but simple. This is probably Watson's final opportunity to change the narrative in Cleveland. Another failed season would almost certainly close the book on one of the most controversial trades in NFL history. But if he somehow finds even a glimpse of that 2020 form again under Monken, the entire conversation around the Browns changes overnight. Suddenly, the team becomes dangerous offensively. The front office feels validated for not giving up, and the organization avoids entering another desperate quarterback search next offseason. Right now, though, Browns fans are stuck in the middle of uncertainty all over again. OTAs are beginning, the quarterback battle is heating up, and every report coming out of Cleveland seems to push the possibility of a Watson comeback closer to reality. Whether fans like it or not, the organization appears ready to give him one more shot to prove he can still be the answer. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and click the video on your screen right now because all the biggest Browns updates are going to keep coming fast. And you already know the latest news always drops here first.